Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. I'm putting the pins in this surface that I have mounted to the CNC so that I can turn this back over. You know, yesterday, or not yesterday, but, well, it was yesterday, but you may not watch it yesterday. That makes no sense whatsoever, but we're going to roll along. These holes right here, okay? That allows me to line things up back where they were. It's a little tricky at first because I forgot to put my little register mark on there, which wasn't smart, but that's all right. And there they are right there. Now that makes this blank drop right back on the machine, centered from where it came off. So all I need to do now is just mount this down. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut most of this away because I don't need the machine to grind all that off. I'm going to cut most of this away, leaving a roughed out blank that the machine can then come in and finish off this back profile, the back surface, and cut the profile off of this chunk here. And I'll save these little pieces. I save these little pieces to make tools and things with. So none of this wood goes to waste. Like that piece I cut out here, got glued on here, you know, things like that. So that's what I need to do. First thing I'm going to do though is go over to the bandsaw. I'm going to cut away a lot of this material so that the machine doesn't have to do all that extra work. Then I'm going to mount this back on here. I'm going to cut the profile off, which will be the basic shape of the neck in profile. And then I'll turn on the surface program and let it run. And that'll take quite a bit of time, and we'll just do that, speed it up. And then this neck will be ready to be sanded. The volute will be sanded. And then I can also cut the final shape on the headstock and drill the holes for the tuners and finish cutting the port for the truss rod. I do that after all this is done. I turn it over and cut that in a separate program because I have found that it's easier to do that way. I've tried it a bunch of different ways. Of course, I started out doing this, I just ground it all off with a rasp, you know. And after you've done about 10 maple necks with a rasp, you start looking for easier ways to do it. Then it went to a router in different ways, and this is by far the easiest way to do it and the most repeatable. I can make this neck over and over and over again because this machine just follows the code that's given, and that's nice. Of course, there's still a ton of handwork once it comes off the machine, but it gets rid of all that excess material much easier, and it's just like having a robot helper, you know? And you can go and do other stuff. Like I got a fret job over there, that Les Paul that's sitting in the StewMac neck jig. I got about that many frets left, and then I can finish polishing those, and then that job is done. And this thing can be doing this thing, right? Okay. So anyway, before I go any further, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for hitting the like button. Not many of you do hit the like button, and I don't know if that means you don't like it or if you just don't care to, or if you're just totally ambiguous to it. Is that the proper word? I don't know that. Don't get a lot of comments either, so if you feel like saying something in the comment bin, please do so. I know, it sounds weird, but hey, why not? Why not talk? Let's talk. If I wanted to talk, I should start a podcast. All right, we don't have to talk. But thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Tell your friends about it if you want to. I know there's 1,000 guys out there building guitars, so I thank you for stopping by this channel. I've said that before, but I do appreciate it. All right? Let me get to work now and stop talking. Here we go. I think I'll cut this section here first. And then I don't have to worry about that too much. It gets a little weird right here. I'm just doing a rough cut, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Cut this off. That. Say that real quick. That makes a nice little sander block or hand plane. Then cut the majority of this away. Like that. Okay, that's great. Now, the machine doesn't have to get rid of all that extra stuff. It's just got to go rip, 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 rip across here, and it'll do that very easily. So let's get this mounted up. Set the origin, that type of thing. I'm going to go ahead and put some marks on here. So I'm going to do another neck just like this when this one's done. I'm going to do 2 of these guitars because I already have the machine ready to do it. Okay, let's put a mark on the table here. Grab my pencil. That mark right there is what I really want. Okay. And what I want to do when I set my origin is I just want to make sure that it centers. It's usually about 1/2 of a millimeter off, which isn't really that big of a deal, I know. But if you're going to do center, then do center. Don't do 1/2 a millimeter off center, do the center, right? All right, so let me get this mounted first and then we'll go from there. Put that back on one more time just to get a couple more marks. Move this out of the way. I left this little chunk down here so that I can mount both ends of the neck to the table. And it gives it a place to hold on, you know, which is good. And that keeps this piece here, this part, it keeps this part from flexing. This does. All right? That's a good thing. Everything's still good and flat except for that one little spot right there. There's a little bit here that the program didn't cut off because this is a little too wide. So I just need to cut a little bit of this off here so it sits flat. Because I really don't need all that, I just need a little tiny piece. Let me get that off of there real quick. All right, I just cut that little corner off of there. Matter of fact, I think I'm just going to cut that whole piece there off. We'll just wait. Got plenty of time to do that. Here, now it sits flatter because that little bump isn't in the way. It was rocking just a little bit, which made me worried, but I think we're fine. Okay, so got this little area here. We can tape down, and from here down, we can tape down. Just like that. tried to keep a razor blade over here because they come in handy, but for some reason, that's probably what went up inside the dust collector. They seem to disappear. Just take that out of there because that's where the pen is. Right? There's another one right there. Like that. That way when I turn it over, tape isn't in the way of the pens. Right? Make sure no little chunks of wood are in the way. They'll sneak in there when you're not watching. Get this mounted back up. Drop that back down in place. Put a little weight on it. Do some contemplating while I pretend I am a clamp. This time of the year is super busy because I'm trying to get the garden going at the same time. Because you got to plant when it's time to plant. I have plants that are sitting out there right now waiting on me. If I can get this going though, and it can do this, and then I can go do a fret job, get this done, and put some plants in the dirt. Okay, that seems to have a grip on things. This is good. Let me get the origin set one more time. So you have to set it every day. When you turn the machine off, you have to reset it. It will be close, but it will not be exact. You have to check it. Before I do that, let's just double check it. Go forward a little bit, drop it down a little bit, and just see how we are. I want it to just touch so that I can spin it a little, just so it just scratches the surface, and raise it back up. And yes, it is off that much. It needs to go that way just a hair. So I'm just going to tell it to go back to origin. And then I'm going to correct X that way by 0.5 millimeter. Okay, so I'm just going to hit X plus, because that's plus, this is minus. That's minus, this is plus. And this is Z. All right, so let's see, I'm going to do plus that much. And then I'm going to reset origin. And there we are. Okay, let's get the right bit in there. I'm going to do a profile cut first. This will take a little while because it'll miss for a while. But I have time till it gets closer. Alright, 1/2 inch ball mill. Get that set in there. This thing's going to have to do quite a bit of work. But it's up to the task. Ugh. Just sanding this edge a little because I don't have the profile cutter go all the way down into the surface. So it leaves a little feather edge. So I just cut that off. And this is what we have left. The back is machined. Had one little weird spot here, but it gets cut off. So that's where I almost didn't catch it in time. But that looks good, that's clean. Now all this can be sanded and filed and rasped and buffed and huffed and puffed upon. And that is our neck blank. Fit that onto the body, and of course it'll have this reverse headstock shape cut into it. But I do that with the neck sitting flat like this. That hanging off of the CNC. That way I can drill the holes with the CNC for the tuners. Does a much nicer job than doing it on the drill press. I've tried this a number of different ways also. The CNC does it the best. That's where I'm going to do that at. And I'll also cut the final profile out while it's sitting there. It'll come in, it'll cut this out. It'll drill those holes, and it'll do the port for the truss rod. And I'll show you that on the next video. That's all for today. I'll go and try to edit all this mess together, and we will see you soon. Get out there and see some guitar players and musicians, and just support your community. And we will see you soon. Peace. North Guitars. See you guys. Bye.